Now we're going to look at eversion, so a movement in the frontal plane about the medial or anterior posterior axis occurring at the subtalar joint. And the muscles that create an everter torque are on the lateral side because it's pulling the foot into abduction or eversion. And so there's two main muscles, either the peroneus longus and brevis or the fibularis longus and brevis. So here we can see they're on the lateral side of the fibula and they go underneath the foot and kind of grab it into eversion. So here is shown the peroneus longus. And then if we hide that muscle, you can see underneath it is the peroneus brevis. And notice the peroneus brevis, so the blue highlighted muscle, goes into the fifth metatarsal. That's why it's the brevis. The peroneus longus goes all the way under the arch and inserts over on the first metatarsal, right? So it's the fact that the peroneus longus goes all the way under the entire plantar surface of the foot. That is why it's the longest. The brevis stops at the lateral side of the foot. So a different look at the lateral compartment muscles. There are two main muscles, and we'll talk about a third in a minute. They're both innervated by the superficial peroneal nerve or the superficial fibular nerve, right? So they share that innervation, and they both share the function of eversion of the ankle joint, or technically the subtalar joint. Peroneus longus is superficial to the peroneus brevis, as you saw in the previous. It comes off the lateral condyle of the tibia and the fibula to the base of the first metatarsal. So it goes all the way under the sole of the foot. Peroneus brevis comes from the fibula to the base of the fifth metatarsal, and that is why it is the peroneus brevis. So let's look at these muscles. So the lateral view, you can see peroneus longus going all the way under the foot. They do, you can see their tendons going behind the lateral malleolus. So the peroneus brevis tendon going straight here into the fifth metatarsal, and the peroneus longus tendon diving under the sole of the foot. And here's another view looking at the plantar view, or that's the inferior view, looking at the bottom of your foot. And so you can see the peroneus longus tendon here and the peroneus brevis tendon there. Reminding you again that the lateral ankle muscles create an internal eversion torque, and because they're on the lateral side of the ankle and the subtalar joint. And so we talked about the peroneus or fibularis longus, the peroneus or fibularis brevis, but there's also this little muscle called the peroneus or fibularis tertius. So we'll just highlight that. So the peroneus longus is on the lateral side, again, going underneath the sole of the foot, kind of grabbing that foot and pulling it into eversion or abduction away from the midline. Peroneus brevis, also an everter, but it inserts on the lateral side on the fifth metatarsal. And then your peroneus tertius is this little muscle coming off the fibula to the fifth metatarsal, which helps with eversion, but a lot of times it is not talked about too much because it's not a huge torque producer.